ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. So, welcome everyone from Shanti Kunj, and it's such a delight. We are meeting almost at the end of this weird kind of year. It's just actually coming to an end, and I'm not sure whether people would be happy to see it go or whether people would be happy to see the new one to come. But it's definitely had been a very interesting year from all accounts. But how that relates to the future and progression of the Gayatri Parivar, if we just think about the current times, and if somebody could teleport themselves back into the time when Gurudev was still writing the Parivartan ke Mahan Kshan, Samasyaएं आज की समाधान कल के, Navyug ki Gangotri, Satyug ki Vapsi, these are prophetic books. If you ever have an opportunity to read them, every single word that Gurudev has written is not only showing the glimpse of the future, but it is actually coming like every single word is flowing from a very different and divine consciousness. And the reason I'm mentioning that because we can be proud that we are part of that Gayatri Parivar, which is in the center of the cyclone. The cyclone that is taking place right now, in the midst of the consciousness and the mindset of the people and the circumstances of this world and the worlds beyond. Everything was written by Puja Gurudev and Vandaniya Mataji, and we are right in the middle of seeing that being unfolded in front of us. And that makes it even much more challenging for us because that would mean that everything that he said is going to turn true. And that would also mean that everything he expected from us, we now have to take the responsibility. And it is also an interesting time because, Gayatri Parivar from the very beginning had been an organization of youth. But this is the first time because remember the time of Gurudev when he started in 1956 and 62. Gurudev was 50 years old, and almost every single member of the organization was like 30, 40 years old. Same happened in the 1970s when Gurudev went through establishing the 4,000, Gayatri Parivar centers. Then also it was the same case. When Vandaniya Mataji did the Ashwamedh Yajna Shrinkhala, then also it was the same case. And it is the first time when we have got a big genre of the people who are in the 17, 80s, and also a big genre of the people who are just actually emerging. And sometimes I see that as a challenge because most people um, have got no idea that how to give the right direction to the youth of tomorrow, and also either because of our habit of actually doing only if it's been asked us to do, it becomes a challenge actually to take in the front and take the responsibility. And I think the first thing that comes to our side is to come forward and take the responsibility because time would not forgive anyone. This is the time, time would not forgive anyone. I'm saying in the sentiment of that if we won't be able to do justice to our responsibility, then forget about Gayatri Parivar and Shanti Kunj and Gayatri Parivar and everything else. The humanity would not be there. And it is our, absolute responsibility that the people who are otherwise signs of hope and the entire future of the light and divinity and piety and sanctity and sacredness is depending upon them. They have to come forth and take this responsibility. Whenever the time of darkness comes, when it's too dark, then of course it makes it challenging for us because it creates it gives a kind of terror and fear in the hearts of the people. Also, the sign of the darkness is that you feel confused, you are in conflict. A rope can appear as a snake, and a curtain can appear as a ghost. Moment the light comes, then everything disappears. There is no fear, there is no confusion, there is no conflict, and even the aura of the place changes, and that time is about to come. But it would not come on its own. It would only come if we are here to take the responsibility. Whenever the darkness is there, fear is there, but it also makes those people who are the recipient and who are the transmitters of the great knowledge and wisdom and piety, because all of you, and I'm not saying it because somebody has given this script for me to read. I'm saying it because it is absolutely true that each one of you is actually born with a divine possibility and potential. And we have lived many lives. And this hunt for perfection that we have got deep down in our consciousness, and the longing for eternal and timeless freedom, and like, reaching to a higher consciousness, is something that is in the center of our existence. And if we won't do justice to that cause or purpose and agenda and motive, whatever way you want to call it, then the life would be futile, incomplete, and imperfect. And that would be a bigger loss than anything else. I believe, like, that if somebody has got physical health problems and mind is intact and emotions are intact, then we can pass through it, no problem. If I have got some emotional issues, then of course half of my capabilities are compromised. But if I have got deep down dissatisfaction of feeling like, that I am doing something that I am not supposed to do, then no amount of health and no amount of harmony can ever be able to complete that. And that kind of incompleteness would always be there if we won't be able to do justice to the current times. And the current times are demanding us to take the responsibility individually in terms of actually making um, those dreams fulfilled that we have got deep down in us, not only in terms of sadhana and swadhyaya, but also coming forth and doing the things that society now demands. When the darkness is there, then of course the call for the light is also there. If there was no Ravan, there is no reason for Lord Ram to come. If there was no, like, if rishis were not being annihilated, then why would Lord Ram would take the pledge that Nishcharhin karo mahi bhuj uthaye pranakeen, that I would make this earth free of evils. Only in the dark times a call for light can arrive. If the children of Sagar would not die, then Bhagirath would never have to do the tapasya and penance to bring the Ganga on this planet. When darkness comes, not only it creates a terror in the heart of the people, but it also makes those people who are divine souls to remember the cause of their birth and why they are supposed to be here. And you all are here because you were called to be here. So I think the first thing in the current times that times are demanding from us is to remember why we are here. And moment, trust me on this moment, like, we have got an absolute faith that we are here for a cause, and this cause is there to fulfill this divine objective. It's not an objective of a person, it's not an objective of an organization, it's neither even an objective of humanity, it's an objective of the highest divine order that we are supposed to fulfill and accomplish. And the moment that kind of faith is there in the purpose and in our ability to accomplish that, a shift in the consciousness takes place. Immediately, we are a different person. We are not the same, because otherwise, we would feel satiated by doing smaller things. That if we get a coffee of the Starbucks, then fine, today's day is over. Like, but then suddenly, even if you do everything, and then you realize that life is bigger than pumpkin latte, like, and then something more we are supposed to do. And then immediately the shift in the consciousness takes place. And then we also need to think that if nobody would do, then who would do it? Like, there is a beautiful story that there was a king, and he said that we have got like 20,000 people in this kingdom, and everyone is, if everyone does a, like, in a small good deed, then our kingdom would be a beautiful place. Then why it's not changing? Minister said, I will show you tomorrow. He said, okay, fine. Got a big, box and put it in the middle of the kingdom. And he said that everyone should give one glass of milk to fill this tank tomorrow. Fine. One night, everyone was given. Next day, king went and saw that the entire tank was empty. So they said, how come, 20,000 people are there? How come it's empty? So they said that they asked a couple of people, and everyone thought that if 20,000 people are there and everyone is going to give, one glass of milk, and if I don't give, then what difference does it make? So no one gave. And no one gave, so nothing happened. So everyone thinks the same. This is how the world works. World thinks that if I won't do it, then who? What difference does it make? But that if I won't do it, then nobody would do it. That's the story. If I won't change, then nobody would change. And if we want to start, then nobody would start. So this is the moment when we really have to start. We really have to think that fine, enough is enough. We have to change. And we have to think about not only the Gayatri Parivar. Gayatri Parivar is a small story. Gayatri Parivar is the byproduct of the process. We have to think about the grand vision that Gurudev wanted to change the entire epoch, entire era, entire humanity, the way we think, the way we live, the way we work. Everything needs to be redesigned. And if that kind of upheaval has to take place where everything needs to be changed, it's like fine if you make a small change, like you make, okay, there is a part missing in the car that needs to be changed. Fine, you can just go to the MOT and get that done. But if everything has to be changed, not only the engine, but the car, but the tires, but the way the transport system works, the way you put the fuel inside, everything has to be changed. Not only the way one individual thinks, but everyone, how they think and how everything operates, our attitudes, aptitudes, beliefs, principles, morals, everything have gone in the completely unjust and wrong direction, and that needs to be changed. And I don't think I need to convince you even more. Everyone knows it. But the thing is that this is the time when we just have to forget, because who knows, maybe in 2021 we would still be talking like this online. So we don't have to wait for times to be better. We just have to start it right now. Whatever the circumstances have been given to us, we just have to find the right way to, bring order and much better kind of thinking in these the current times. First thing is to find a way so that our individual lives can shine. First thing, even before that, is to have an absolute faith in our purpose, our reason to be here, and our faith in Gurudev. And not because it's like a cult or something. It's because Gurudev represents and Mataji represents something higher than that. If you are able to find that connection, it is just so divine, pure, and perfect that immediately, life becomes. Then you can put yourself in automatic kind of mode, and it would go. Then suddenly you change from being a Toyota to Tesla. Then you are in autopilot, and then it would go wherever you have put the GPS. And let let us try to give the control of our life to Gurudev. In Gita, a beautiful line comes and it says that what is the definition of the disciple? And he says, Sarvarambha Parityagi Sarva Sankalpa Visarjita, who has got no agraha, who has got no preference about how the thing should be done. Sarva Sankalpa Visarjita, who has got no asakti that how things should be. So if we have got nothing in those circumstances, we don't know this is how the thing should be done. Who am I to decide? It's a divine plan, divine objective, and who am I to decide that how things should be done? I should do what has been asked me to do rather than thinking that how everything should operate. If a small screw in the machine would start to think this is how the machine should operate, then machine would collapse next second. We are supposed to do our duty as a screw and not as an engine. Whatever is the duty is the duty. And then afterwards we just have to think what are the challenges of the current times, and what kind of things we can do. Couple of things we already talked about before, like some practical things that could be done, like creating a database and like directories and other such things. And besides that, I think there are few other things. The things that I have already spoken about in the previous meetings, I am not going to mention them here, but some new things that I believe would be of great benefit, and I would mention them. First thing is that it would be good to create three kinds of division. One thing is to create a division of publicity, which would, publicity is wrong word, but presentation probably, because there are three things. One is propaganda. I don't do anything, but I make a lot of noise. That is propaganda, in my opinion. Publicity is when I do things and I would like to take the benefit about it, but it's more like a business that you are offering the services, but you are also asking money for it, maybe a bit more than it is supposed to be. And then presentation is that just actually taking the message to the right people whose ear should be ready to embrace it. So it should be actually taking to those people. And I think what we need is the presentation. We neither need publicity, we nor need propaganda, we need presentation. And presentation team should actually look after the social media, Facebook, Twitter, all such accounts. And apart from that, Astha is very happy to listen to that. All besides that, I think what other things one should do is actually rather than, because our mode of working so far is reactive, like when things come then we start to offer something, but we need a team where we can do it proactively. Proactively means how come? Proactively means that, say for example, new year is coming, then what good they've said about new year. Then Kumbh is coming, what good they've said about Kumbh. Then the National Youth Day is coming, like Vivekananda's birthday is coming, 12th of January. What can we do for that? And all this, then planning it in advance, that what good they've said and propagating it. And besides that, another thing that I would say is more like a public relation, write to every single person, like create a proper organization of AWGP youth, and then write letters, spread information to every single person, to the senators, to the governors, to the people like you are in administration. Because Gurdev talked about five types of people. I don't know whether you are aware, but he said that last 5 years when Gurdev went into Sukshmikaran, he said, I'm gonna influence five types of people. One are the um, politicians, because they are there to, or policymakers rather. Politicians is not the perfect word, but the policymakers who are either in the top management or middle management. And then actors and the kalakar, he said, which includes actors, musicians, artists, all kind. Then writers, then people who have got financial resources, and people who have got talent. Five types of people. So I would say that make list of such people, and there are so many people who already have got deep down, some kind of faith in also Indian wisdom traditions also, approaching them and sending them the letter information about, and meeting them if COVID regulations permit, then meeting them also, is a possibility. But that is one thing I believe would be of benefit in the current times. Second thing that is also required is to create a division. Or when I say division, I'm not saying that different parts of the organization. I'm saying that different cells or different kind of uh, work approaches where a group is working on this particular area, and that could involve seva only. One division should be there which is only working for the seva aspect, all humanitarian things that people would like to do, including, although we talked about it in the last time also, but including working for counseling of the people, like psychological kind of, because there are different people. I keep receiving emails from most of the youth of US and all other places also, and I feel that most of the issues are there because people really struggle to share the emotional and psychological issues with confidence with someone that they can easily trust. And I think even if we start with the Gayatri Parvar use, the senior members could provide the gentle guidance and counseling to the younger members, because there are so many issues, not only the issues which are psychological, but social issues are there. People have got difficulty to maintain their belief systems when they go to the work. People struggle to maintain their routine when they go to the college and other such things. There are smaller issues, but how one would relate if they have got a different kind of ethos than other people, and how to maintain that without losing your integrity, how I can function like a normal person or so-called normal person in the society. I think these kind of smaller issues are there. So I think if a division is there, or a group of the people members are there who can give this kind of guidance, then it would help. Third thing, because I think I have overrun my 20 minutes limit. Sorry for that, Rohan. I just remembered that it was 20 minutes. And the last thing then in that case is that next year is the Kumbh. Haridwar's Purn Kumbh is there. And it is also the 50th anniversary of the establishment of Shanti Kunj. And it is a special time because after 83 years, it's the first time when the Kumbh had come on the 11th year in Haridwar. So it comes otherwise every 12th year, and it came in the 11th year. And every time this happened, either a world war had taken place or a epidemic had pandemic had taken place. So not a positive sign, but good thing is that we are actually coming to an end, because it happens a year before. So last time it happened, the world war was there. The year prior to that, there was an pandemic and epidemic, cholera pandemic was there. But the good thing is that whenever this kind of world war or pandemic has taken place, it always gives a new beginning. So we have time for new beginning now. And the message that we have taken for this year is that rather than people coming to Haridwar, we take the Haridwar to their homes. So the motto is Aapke Dwar Pahuncha Haridwar, that Haridwar is reaching to your door. घर घर यज्ञ घर घर संस्कार घर घर गंगा घर घर हरिद्वार, that you don't have to come to Kumbh is coming to you. And no one has thought about that in US, but if all youth can take the responsibility, it could be remarkable and revolutionary. Trust me on this, because many people can definitely not come to Haridwar. In India, of course, there is a possibility it goes on for 4 months and people can come. But in US and Canada, I think it would be a huge challenge for people to come. And if it is being taken to their homes and houses, it would be beyond expectation and of greatest emotional, spiritual significance to many people. Idea is not only for them to receive, like, Devis Thapna and Gangajal. Idea is for them to receive the values associated with it, and also the re-establish the emotional connection. Like, a small photograph of a pet can make people so happy. And if you have got gods and rishis and everyone Ganga coming to your house, what else one would need? So, like, it is something of greatest emotional significance, especially that is so far away, and you are taking it close to their hearts and even to homes. So even thinking about that, like, visiting everyone, not only the people who are part of the Gayatri Parivar, but who even have heard about Ganga, it should go to their house. And even, like, I think if that happens, then it is a very new beginning. So this is all I wanted to say. I know that it is night time for most of the people, and I don't know if I have given too much and Raja for you to sleep or not sleep. So this is all I wanted to say. So I came with no agenda, but I still spoke so much. So thank you, Rohan.